So today we're going to take a look at some Italian Valorant because I think I found one of my new favorite teams in all of Valorant, and that is GMT. And the reason I like GMT is because they are playing Yoru plus Harbor here on Icebox, the fated combo of Yoru plus Harbor. And by the way, whenever Premiere comes out, that mode, I am definitely going to make content around, coaching a team and coming up with some ideas. And we are definitely playing Yoru Harbor, at least on one map. I can guarantee it. So be excited for that when that comes out. But let's take a look at GMT and their attempt at this. And GMT, by the way, have become one of my favorite teams because they play Yoru on every map. This guy, Bipo, don't know how you say it. He just plays Yoru on every map. And so, I mean, they've lost all 3 games they've played so far, but I appreciate the effort of just playing Yoru all the time. I hope they stick with it because it's fun. But yeah, anyway, let's dive into this game and see how it went with this Harbor Yoru combo. GMT are on the attack side, and we are just going to look at their attacking side. The defensive side was a bit, normal. It wasn't super, super interesting. So let's take a look at some of these rounds. We'll start with the first pistol round. So first thing we're going to get is this Yoru TP, as you can see, going all the way back there. We get a Harbor Cascade down there. Obviously, when you're playing Harbor plus Viper, you can do this wall on B like every single round at the start of the round. I mean, some teams do that anyway, even without, any other extra controller. But, especially with a Harbor, right? You can just send that wall there every round. Obviously, put the orb in mid like a lot of teams do. But what they're going to do here is they're going to, as they start to scale up to the B side, as you can see, they're going to go for this cove line up here, right? And I think that they just miss it, to be honest, because this is one of the things that I think, makes Harbor Yoru like a kind of interesting, unique little combo, right? Is that you can send a TP down there and then the cove's going to land. But I think it misses because you're going to see where it lands. It lands kind of outside of where the TP is. Obviously, the point is you can put a cove, because obviously this cove is kind of doing absolutely nothing. You can put a cove there, right? And the TP, you can either go for the TP or you can fake the TP. And the thing is, these players won't know. Now, this one has slightly missed. Actually, if they did fake it or go for it at this point, these players, this Viper doesn't have a line of vision. And because of the little hut here, the Sova doesn't have a line of vision either. So they wouldn't actually know. I guess the Sova could maybe see the little blue mark on the floor if it was a fake. But, they could have gone for it here. And for whatever reason, they decided not to fake it at this point. Maybe they wanted to save it for later on, when this Yoru goes there once the spike is down. But, this was basically the only round that they really did this. But this is like one of the ideas that I really wanted to see, like, does this work? But I mean, you can see the Viper here. It's like just staring at this cove with a snake bite in hand, right? They're really focusing on that. So it really does give them some space there, just off the threat that, this might be a thing. Harbor wall comes up. They're going to plant the spike. And yes, they did lose this game, GMT. But I will say that the team that they're playing, Humble, had some really good B retakes, right? It starts with this first round just here, you're going to see. But, like, just in general, this was kind of the story of the game, was just these B retakes. I mean, you see here we've got this Killjoy with a Killjoy line up there for the Nanoswarm that's going to go back of yellow. They were just pretty good at these 5-on-5 B retakes. And if you're pretty good at that on Icebox, then you're probably going to have quite a bit of success. So in they start to come, right? The Viper stuff comes up. In goes a Nanoswarm from that lineup. Even though they lose the first kill, right? The scaling is good. Obviously, this is a big problem in the pistol round, of course, is if the Sage is still alive, you get the Sage wall up. And with the deeper plant spot as well, it just becomes all the more tricky. And so they're just going to stick the spike here, Humble. And there's really not much that GMT can do about it as they get the spike defused just there. And they manage to win the round. And now let's come to round number 7. This is going to be a bit of a chaotic round. So we're going to see basically what GMT's default was, which was to put a Harbor wall across here. They then got, you still got the Viper wall here. They are going to put the Viper orb there later on in this round, but normally they were putting it there anyway. And they're going to put up a Harbor wall across here as well. Right, so really like focusing on mid, causing a lot of pressure for these mid players that were normally in here. This is the round, it just so happens, they were doing this and then often like going, to either A or B and not really focusing on mid after that. But this is actually the round they decide to, go through mid. It just also happens to be the round that Humble decide, well, let's push mid this round. So, we get some fireworks early on in this round, but you'll see it all play out here as we get Sovadar up here. we're going to get a silver dart just across there. You know, here's the harbor wall, right? They're going to flash through it and try and run through it. But the thing is, though, we've got, you know, this jet running down here. They managed to get one kill there. We get a trade on the Viper just in like the middle of all the chaos. The spike actually goes down as well. This jet is running down, you know, puts smokes up, all of that. It kind of goes a bit crazy. Everyone's kind of there. But because of, you know, where they happen to be, this Viper's managed to sneak up here. This harbor is starting to destroy the Sage Wall here and started to scale up on B as well. And so we end up in a pretty weird spot already. The spike's like just down in mid. But we're going to see that we managed to get this kill here for GMT, and we end up in a 4v3, and the chaos just continues from this point on, right? Obviously, the spike is still there. This Viper's going to throw down the orb to try and retrieve it, and does retrieve it. Whilst that's going on, we got this kill on B from this Sage, staying nice and disciplined, still watching there. But now this Sova's going to come back and get the kill through Kitchen on this Sage. And I think here, you know, you've got a lot of control. The B side is basically open at this point. This is just a bit too aggressive. You see, you know, even the best pro players, you know, make this kind of mistake where they get one kill, they get that adrenaline rush, and, you know, they just have to go looking for another one, even when it's not the best decision. But we get the spike down, and we're even going to get a Viper's Pit on the spike, right? But we are going to see a mistake in this round, again, from GMT here, where if you're in this position, it's a 2v2, right? It's a chaotic round. They have no idea where this Yoru is. Literally zero idea. And these two players here, you know, they're going to go clearing and, you know, check their angles and whatnot, because they have no idea where this Yoru is. Obviously, know the Viper is in the Viper's Pit, most presumably. And so what you've got to do as this Yoru here, I think, is just stay alive. All you've got to do is basically do nothing. Just sit there and stay alive, because at some point, right, the time is going to tick down, and at some point they are going to have to attack this Viper's Pit. At some point. And whenever that point is, you know, you can just be there, and you're going to assume that, you know, probably your Viper maybe gets one and gets traded, but even if they get none, it's going to take them some time to get through all of this Viper's Pit, right? It's going to take some time. But what's going to happen instead? So yeah, the Yoru starts going down here, and I think, yeah, that's a decent idea if you wanted to do that, but then comes back and starts peeking out of the kitchen window, you know, trying to find a free kill, but instead dies. Now, if this Yoru just, you know, sits down here instead somewhere, you know, just stares off into space this way or whatever, you know, I think they win this round, because eventually, as soon as that spike is tapped, you can then come, you know, onto Nest or whatever and get that kill. But it's a tricky situation, and we end up in this 2v1. This Viper, I like, you know, I don't mind the idea, right? They're gonna run into the pit. It drops, you know, they're not gonna know where you are. You're behind them. You know, it's not a bad idea, but it's a nice little swing round by Night Voice, who manages to get the final kill. And again, GMT would lose the round. So then we come to round 11, and you can see that they're really struggling at this point. It's 8-2. And what they're going to do then is go for a big fake instead. So they send in a Sova dart here. You can see we've got the Yoru TP going across the map. In comes the drone. In comes this little harbor wall. And, you know, these guys are trying to go in. This jet gets pinged by the Sova clone just there. But then our Yoru TP's over, okay? So we've still got our harbor here. Our Sova is now rotating across. Our Yoru is already there. We're ready to come in here, right? Maybe a little note as well, as I said, you can put down this Viper wall every round anyway, so even though they are going for this fake, you're going to see later on they end up putting up the Viper wall once it's kind of revealed they're there. But honestly, you might as well just put it down anyway, because, you know, it's not going to tell them anything, to be honest. Little note there. But what we're going to see is we're going to get the Harbor ult come in as well, so you've got the Yoru clone fake in just there, you've got this Harbor wall. In comes, you know, the full harbor wall just there to, you know, even sell even further. There comes the harbor ult as well. So these guys start panicking. This guy, Killjoy, starts rotating over here, but this Viper is staying nice and disciplined, you know, doesn't leave too soon, and is correct in doing so. Goes for a Viper's Pit. It doesn't quite extend probably as far as this Viper maybe wanted to. They do have the orb there, and it does scare them for a bit, but you see how it just cuts off before, you know, before the end of where the spike is being planted, so you have to come out of the pit anyway, which, you know, isn't your ideal. You know, just a bit unfortunate, I guess, for the Viper. And we end up in another 5v5 retake here on B. This is one, actually, though, the GMT are finally going to manage to win here. They're going to manage to scrape it out as the time starts to go down. Another harbor wall comes in across the site just there, and obviously you can just rotate those harbor walls between one and the other. Here we get a really nice Yoru flash and a little kill there, a little jump away to survive, and then eventually they are just going to manage to basically spam down on the spike and get enough of these kills to win the round, as you will see. So, you know, they're trying to go for the defuse here, but we just start spamming the spike and ultimately win the round. And then finally, let's come to round number 12, where it's going to be much the same as the last round. We're going to get a bit of a fake here, but again, we're going to see one of those B retakes. So we start off with that kind of default plan here, right, with this mid wall from the harbor here, both of these walls just here. But then eventually they are going to start to come towards A before coming back to B, but we're going to get another really nice retake. So the Viper Orb goes up, this Yoru is going to come up towards kitchen, and this is something else that they did a lot, right, where this Yoru is going to destroy this turret and then TP out. One thing that I didn't love about this is that they did this a lot, but at no point, right, they would often destroy the turret, come back out, but at no point did they ever then go, well, we're going to go back up kitchen later on, right? There was never really that attempt to be like, well, yeah, now we're just going to, you know, use the fact that the turret isn't there and just, you know, go up there and try and attack it. It was always destroy, come away, and then, you know, I feel like this point, you know, Humble kind of realized, yeah, you know, with this dart here, they're probably not here, and they're probably not coming back because they never did before. But we're going to see, we get this Yoru TP coming across the map again. In comes the drone just here. This time we do have the Viper wall up on the other side. They start, you know, firing bullets. They start, you know, going off. And now we're going to see they get the Viper's pit off and just send the Viper's pit in, right? Where, again, the dart comes in just there. And again, they're trying to cause some chaos, and I like it. And, you know, by this time, of course, it's just the Viper here, and we're on the other side of the map ready to come. And this has convinced them this time, right? So we get a really nice fake again. But you're going to see the harbor wall comes up just there. But now, obviously, we have this Viper potentially to lurk here. So these guys are a bit wary of that and what's going on. But again, this Viper who's staying towards B does a good job in just causing enough of a delay there on the site to kind of push them back. You can see it here. We've got the Viper Molly down just there. They do manage to get the spike plant up, and we manage to you know, get the spike down, and we end up in this 5v5b retake again. But again, we're going to see something really nice. We get the Killjoy ultimate in there from Humble. We do have this Viper lurking behind, and we get a Yoru ult to, you know, yeah, they're in there, shock horror, right? But as this Killjoy goes off, you know, we end up obviously having to be pretty far away from the spike. We get a kill there. Now we're in a 4v3. Again, we're in a pretty bad spot where none of us can really see the spike because of where it all is, and they just see they were very ready for it. Humble, you see how quickly they turned to that Viper, knowing that that's a likely case. They were very good at these B retakes, and ultimately that's what won them the game. And so the Yoru Harbor experiment goes on. Will it ever be successful? I'm hopeful, but unfortunately, this was not the day for it to be successful. But I am, you know, one day hoping that someone can make it work and we end up with a very good Yoru Harbor combo.